Sam Walker dragged his worn suitcase across the threshold of the dorm room, the clatter of its wheels on the decaying wooden floor a discordant symphony against the quiet of the late afternoon. The small, cramped room, its walls stained with yellowing patches, had a faint smell of mildew that made him wrinkle his nose. "Welcome to junior year," he muttered, his voice dry, his thin hand pushing his glasses back up his nose. Sam wasn't the complaining type. He was used to accepting things as they were, from the dry physics lectures to the creaky single bed in this rundown dorm. But this time, even he had to admit the room looked like it had been forgotten since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. He dropped his suitcase in the corner, the soft thud echoing in the silence, and sat down tentatively on the bed. The springs inside groaned under his weight, and the weak sunlight from the dusty window illuminated his gaunt face, highlighting the messy brown hair he never bothered to comb. Sam, 21, was a theoretical physics student at a not-so-prestigious university. He hadn't chosen this major because he dreamed of becoming Einstein or anything grand. He just liked things that were logical, predictable, like the laws governing the universe or the way a star dies without any drama. His life was like that too. Peaceful, uneventful, untroubled. He preferred sitting alone in a corner of the library with a science fiction book, or playing games in his room, where no one bothered him. But looking around this messy room, the wobbly desk, the tattered rug, and the bookshelf that looked like it was about to collapse, he wondered if he could really find peace here. "Might as well clean up," Sam sighed, standing up and grabbing the old, worn-out broom someone had left in the corner. He started sweeping the floor, dust swirling up and making him cough, but at least it gave him a sense of control over the mess. While sweeping, he noticed a floorboard near the corner was slightly loose. It protruded a bit, not fitting in with the others. Sam frowned, knelt down, and tapped it lightly with the broom handle. A hollow sound echoed, as if there was a space underneath. "This dorm can't possibly have a hidden treasure, can it?" he mused, half joking, half serious, then used his hand to lift the board, his fingernails scraping lightly against the decayed wood to pull it out. What he found wasn't treasure. Not gold. Not even an interesting old book like he'd imagined when reading adventure novels. It was a round, metallic object, about the size of a small suitcase, nestled in the floor cavity. Its surface shimmered under the weak light, not quite steel, not quite silver, but like a slowly moving liquid metal, reflecting everything around it in a strange way. From its center, a faint blue light pulsed steadily, like the heartbeat of a living creature. Sam blinked, then blinked again as if doing so would make the thing disappear. "What the hell is this?" he mumbled, his voice slightly shaky. He wasn't one to believe in the supernatural. Everything in the universe could be explained by science. At least that's what he'd always thought. But this object looked like a prop from one of those sci-fi movies he'd read, the kind the main character accidentally activates and then the whole world explodes. He reached out, his trembling fingers hovering a few inches above the object's surface. He felt a strange energy, not heat, but more like static electricity running down his spine, making the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. "Don't touch it, Sam," he told himself, a warning whisper in his head. But curiosity, the very thing he always tried to suppress to keep his life simple, won out. His finger touched the cold surface of the object, and immediately, it emitted a low whir, like an engine starting up. The blue light flared brightly, so intensely that Sam recoiled, falling backward and hitting his back hard on the wooden floor. The broom flew out of his hand, clattering against the wall with a dry thwack. Before he could regain his senses, the object cracked. No, it opened, the two halves separating with a soft hiss, like a modern-day Pandora's box. And from inside, a figure emerged. Sam's jaw dropped, his heart pounding like it was trying to escape his chest. It wasn't a person in the usual sense. The girl, or something that looked like a girl, had shimmering silver skin like liquid metal, reflecting the light in the room in iridescent streaks. Her long purple hair floated around her head, not because of wind, but as if she were underwater, each strand moving slowly as if it had a mind of its own. Her eyes were what Sam couldn't tear away from, golden, glittering with tiny points of light like a miniature galaxy, staring directly at him with undisguised curiosity. She wore a shimmering, skin-tight suit that changed colors from green to purple whenever she moved, like a living fabric. Sam sat on the floor, hands propped behind him, unsure whether to scream or run. "I am Caliph," she said, her voice melodious, clear, like wind chimes ringing in the quiet space. She tilted her head, her purple hair floating with the movement, her golden eyes appraising him. "But you can call me Kate. I have been waiting for you for a long time, Sam Walker." Her voice was gentle, but there was something certain about it, as if she had known him before he knew himself. Sam blinked, trying to find his voice, but all he could manage was a foolish huh. He stood up, backing away a few steps, almost tripping over his old suitcase. "Wait, what?" he stammered, his voice higher than usual. "Waiting for me? You know my name? Who are you?" "No, what are you?" He looked at her, then at the metallic object now silent in the corner, then back at her, his mind spinning like a computer with corrupted data. Kate took a step forward, her bare feet making no sound on the wooden floor. "I am an extraterrestrial life form," she explained, her voice as calm as if she were talking about the weather. "My people sent me here in stasis in this device. I call it the Nexus Pod." She pointed to the metallic object, the blue light on its surface now dimmed. "It operates on microwave energy from the crystalline core of my planet. A powerful energy source, but one that requires time to recharge after significant use. My purpose is to find a genetically and emotionally compatible companion. And that is you, Sam." Sam laughed, a dry, almost hysterical sound. "No, no, no. This has to be a dream, or someone's playing a prank on me. Is it Lily? She knows I like sci-fi." He rubbed his forehead, trying to process the information, but Kate just tilted her head a little further, like a curious bird, and the light from her golden eyes seemed to pierce through him, sending a chill down his spine. "This is not a joke," Kate said, her voice still gentle but now with a touch of seriousness. "The pod has analyzed millions of genetic samples on your planet over the past 73 years. It chose you because of your adaptability, your patience, and an open heart, even if you don't realize it. I am here to learn from you, to feel what my people have lost." Sam opened his mouth to protest, but he didn't know what to say. He looked at her, the silver skin shimmering under the weak fluorescent light of the room, the purple hair floating as if with a will of its own, and the golden eyes that seemed to contain the entire universe. She didn't look real, but at the same time she was too real, too vivid to be a dream. 73 years? He asked, his voice softening. How old are you?" Kate smiled, revealing perfect white teeth. "In Earth time, I am approximately 94 years old, but on my planet I am still considered young. The pod kept me from aging during stasis." She took a step closer, and Sam noticed she had a strange scent. Not perfume, but more like the smell of ozone after a rainstorm, mixed with a sweetness like wildflowers. Okay. Sam raised his hands in surrender. "Let's say I believe you, which I don't, by the way. What's this destined companion thing? What are you going to do with me? And why me? I'm just a regular student. Nothing special." He felt his voice going a little high-pitched, but he couldn't stop it. His mind, used to equations and laws, was now desperately trying to find logic in this insane situation. Kate stood still, her golden eyes looking at him gently. "You are not ordinary, Sam. The pod didn't just analyze genetics, it also looked at your psychology, your emotions. My people once evolved too far, becoming pure energy beings, but we lost the ability to feel, to love, to laugh, to truly live. I am here to find that again, and I need you. You are the one who will help me understand this world." Sam didn't know how to respond. He wanted to argue, to say that she was wrong, that he wasn't special at all. But before he could open his mouth, something else caught his attention. When he had lifted the floorboard earlier, a small, yellowed piece of paper had fallen out, now lying alone on the floor. He knelt down to pick it up, his hands slightly trembling as he unfolded the paper. Inside was a scrawled handwritten note. The ink faded but still legible. "Project Nova, don't let them see the blue light." "What's this?" Sam mumbled, looking up at Kate. Do you know anything about Project Nova? Kate's golden eyes widened, for the first time Sam seeing a flicker of fear in them. She took a step closer, her voice lowering to a whisper. Project Nova, they are the ones who hunt us. A secret organization on Earth, specializing in finding and exploiting extraterrestrial technology. I encountered them long before I came here. She paused, her eyes distant as if remembering something. I escaped them once, but not without a price. They want the pod, Sam. They want its power to create weapons. If they know I'm here. Sam felt his heart beat faster. Wait, you said they hunt you? So this? He held up the piece of paper, his hand slightly shaking. Someone knew about you? Or about this pod? How long has it been here? Kate shook her head, her purple hair moving slightly. I don't know. The pod has been here for 73 years, waiting for the compatible one. Maybe someone found it before you, but couldn't activate it. Or, she paused, her golden eyes looking directly at him. Or they were taken by Project Nova. Sam swallowed, a chill running down his spine. He looked at the paper, then at Kate, then at the Nexus pod now silent in the corner. The peaceful life he had always tried to maintain had officially vanished, replaced by a mystery bigger than any equation he had ever solved. So what now? He asked, his voice softening. If they're looking for you, why don't you run? Why stay here with me? Kate smiled, a smile that was both gentle and determined. Because you are my destiny, Sam. I'm not running anymore. I'm here to learn, to live, and I need you. We are a team. She moved closer, close enough that he could feel the strange warmth emanating from her. Not like human body heat, but like the energy of a small star. Before Sam could react, a knock on the door sounded, strong and decisive. He jumped back, his heart pounding. Who is it? He called, his voice cracking. Sam, it's me. Lily Chen's voice came from outside, clear and a little impatient. I brought food to help you clean your room. Open up. My arms are about to fall off. Sam turned to Kate, his eyes wide with panic. You can't let anyone see you, he whispered urgently. You look like an alien. Kate blinked, then nodded as if she just figured something out. Right? I can adjust. Before Sam's eyes, her silver skin began to fade, turning into a pale white almost like human skin, though still with a strange shimmer. Her purple hair retracted, changing to a dark brown, although still shimmering under the light. Her golden eyes softened, but still retained tiny points of light, unnoticeable unless you looked closely. In a few seconds, she looked almost like a normal girl, almost. Is this better? Kate asked, her voice full of excitement. Sam looked at her, his mouth dry. It'll do. But don't do anything weird. Okay? He took a deep breath, walking to open the door, while Kate stood behind him, curiously tilting her head to look out. Lily Chun stood there, petite in a denim jacket, her black hair tied up high, holding a paper bag containing sandwiches and soft drinks. She looked at Sam, then glanced over his shoulder, raising an eyebrow when she saw Kate. Who's that? She asked, her voice filled with suspicion. Sam swallowed, forcing a strained smile. This is Kate, a new friend. She's, sharing the dorm. Kate stepped forward, smiling brightly. Hello, I'm Kate Parker. It's very nice to meet you. She extended her hand, but when Lily shook it, a tiny spark flashed from Kate's fingertips, causing Lily to jerk her hand back. What was that? Static electricity? Lily frowned, rubbing her hand. Yeah, probably the wooden floor, Sam said quickly, glancing at Kate with a warning look. But Kate just smiled, her golden eyes twinkling mischievously. And Sam knew that his life had officially embarked on a journey he couldn't predict. A journey with blue light, mysterious hunters, and an alien girl standing right behind him. Lily Chun placed the bag of food on Sam's wobbly desk, her eyes, behind round glasses, never leaving Kate for a second. New friend? Huh? She asked again, her voice a mix of suspicion and curiosity. I've never heard you mention her before, Sam. She pushed her glasses up her nose, A habit Sam knew was a sign she was trying to analyze the situation, and he didn't like that one bit. Sam stood there, his hand still clutching the doorknob, cold sweat running down his spine. Less than 10 minutes ago, he had accidentally activated an alien artifact under his floor. And now, an alien being named Kate, was standing right behind him, trying to play the role of normal girl with pale, shimmering skin and golden eyes that contained entire galaxies. Yeah, it's a long story, he mumbled, glancing at Kate with a pleading look. She just moved in. Kate, clearly oblivious to Sam's panic, smiled radiantly, her golden eyes sparkling under the weak fluorescent light. I'm Kate Parker, she said, her voice melodious like wind chimes. Sam has been very kind, agreeing to help me adapt to a new environment. She tilted her head, her shimmering brown hair moving slightly, and Sam could immediately see that her disguise wasn't perfect. The way she said, new environment, sounded like she had just landed from a spaceship, which, in a sense, was true. Lily nodded slowly, her sharp gaze moving from Sam to Kate and back to Sam. All right, welcome to the most rundown dorm on campus, Kate. If you survive the first week without being knocked out by the smell of mildew, I'll call you a legend. She grinned, clapping Sam on the shoulder so hard he almost stumbled. And you, don't let this room turn into a garbage dump like last year. I'm gonna get more drinks, you two eat first. When Lily left the room, the door closing with a soft click, Sam turned to Kate, his voice a low, urgent whisper. You can't just say things like, adapting to a new environment like that. It sounds weird, like you just came down from Mars. He raised his hands, trying to contain the panic rising in his chest. Kate blinked, her golden eyes sparkling with innocence. But I am from off-Earth. Not Mars, my planet is much farther away, with 3 suns and glowing oceans. She stopped when she saw Sam raise his hand to interrupt, his face as pale as if he'd seen a ghost. Don't go into details, he said, his voice almost pleading. Listen, if you want to stay here without drawing attention, you have to act normal. No talking about planets, no talking about the pod, and absolutely no glowing. Okay. He glanced at the Nexus pod in the corner of the room, the round metallic object now silent like a strange decoration. But he knew it held power he didn't fully understand and danger, if that Project Nova note was anything to go by. Kate nodded enthusiastically, like an obedient student. Understood. I will observe and learn. You are my guide, Sam. She smiled, and even though her appearance was disguised, there was something about that smile that made Sam's heart skip a beat. Not because he liked her. Not yet, he told himself. But because it was so genuine, so alien. Before he could respond, Lily returned with 2 bottles of soda, tossing one to Sam with the accuracy of a baseball pitcher. Hey, do you have physics with Professor Harper tomorrow? She asked, plopping down on the bed, making it creak. He just added a group assignment. I thought we should work together. She opened the bag of sandwiches, offering one to Kate. Want one? This place makes the best sandwiches in the dorm area. Kate took the sandwich, examining it with intense curiosity, as if it were a scientific specimen. Earth food, she mumbled, then looked up at Sam. I could. She stopped when she saw his warning look, then took a small bite. Her golden eyes lit up. Oh, the molecular structure is fascinating. I could improve it by... No, Sam interrupted, his voice higher than he intended, making Lily jump and look at him. He coughed, smiling awkwardly. I mean, no need. It's delicious as is. Just eat, Kate. Lily laughed loudly, clearly thinking Kate was just joking. You're funny, Kate. I like you. But don't let Sam bully you. He's just good at pretending to be serious. She winked at Kate, then turned to Sam. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Yesterday I saw a strange guy standing outside the dorm, wearing black clothes, sunglasses even though it was pitch dark. Looked like an agent from a movie. Do you think something's up? Sam felt his heart skip a beat. He glanced at Kate, seeing her freeze, her hand holding the sandwich suspended in midair. Agent? He repeated, trying to keep his voice calm. Probably just campus security. You worry too much. Lily shrugged, chewing on her sandwich. Maybe, but I swear the guy was holding some kind of device that glowed red, scanning the windows. Creepy. She laughed, but Sam couldn't. He looked at Kate, seeing her golden eyes clouded with worry, and he knew immediately that it wasn't campus security. Project Nova, the name on the note, had just become more real than ever. The meal passed in awkward silence, with Lily telling rambling stories about class and Sam nodding along, while his mind raced with questions. When Lily left, waving goodbye with a carefree smile, Sam closed the door and turned to Kate, his voice tense. That was them, right? Project Nova? Kate nodded, standing up and walking towards the Nexus pod. Possibly. They have microwave energy scanning devices, the kind the pod emits when I wake up. If they're nearby. She paused, her hand touching the metal surface of the pod, and it emitted a soft whir. The blue light flickering. I need to check. Sam watched her, his heart pounding. Check? What do you mean? What are you going to do? But Kate didn't answer immediately. She placed her hand on the pod, and a small holographic screen appeared in midair, displaying lines of text and numbers he didn't understand. Her hands moved quickly, as if she were controlling an invisible control panel. I'm scanning for energy signatures in the area, she explained, her voice calm but urgent. If they've detected me, we need to know where they are. The holographic screen flickered, then a red dot appeared, a few hundred meters from the dorm. Kate frowned. They're close. Very close. Sam felt his throat go dry. How close? Do you mean they're watching us right now? He went to the window, pulling the curtain aside and looking out. Darkness shrouded the dorm area, with only a few faint streetlights illuminating the damp lawn. He didn't see anyone, but the feeling of being watched made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Kate turned off the holographic screen, turning to him. I'm not sure, but if they detected the blue light when I woke up, they won't give up easily. Sam, we have to be careful. She moved closer to him, her golden eyes serious. I don't want you to get hurt because of me. Sam laughed, a dry, hollow laugh to hide his fear. Hurt? I just wanted to study in peace, not run from mysterious secret agents. But when he looked into her eyes, seeing the genuine concern in them, he couldn't deny that a part of him, however small, felt a thrill. His life had just become a million times more complicated. But it was also no longer boring. The next morning, Sam walked into the physics lecture hall with Kate close beside him. She was disguised perfectly, brown hair, white skin, wearing an oversized hoodie and jeans she'd borrowed from his suitcase, though he swore he didn't own women's jeans. But her golden eyes still worried him. They were too striking, too unusual. Just walk slowly. Don't do anything weird. Okay? He whispered as they sat down in the middle row. Kate nodded, but her eyes were already glued to the physics textbook on the desk, a thick textbook Sam had brought. This is your knowledge? She asked, flipping through a few pages with super-fast speed. It's so rudimentary. My planet surpassed this theory centuries ago. Shoo! Sam blushed, glancing around to see if anyone had heard. Luckily, the lecture hall was still quite empty, with only a few students scattered around, fiddling with their phones or dozing before class. But then he heard heavy footsteps, and a tall figure appeared beside their desk. Yo, is this seat taken? Jake Miller, the star of the school's basketball team, stood there with a bright smile, his blonde hair peeking out from under his backwards baseball cap. He was tall, muscles bulging under his team t-shirt, and the way he stood made Sam feel smaller than usual. No, it's free, Sam replied, his voice slightly strained. He wasn't used to talking to jocks like Jake. They belonged to two completely different worlds. He was a bookworm, and Jake was the type who always stood in the middle of a crowd with a ball in his hand. Jake sat down, but his eyes quickly shifted to Kate. Hey, new girl, he said, his smile widening. I'm Jake. You're in physics? You don't look like a nerd like this guy. He jerked his chin towards Sam, making him want to sink into the floor. Kate turned to Jake, her golden eyes sparkling with curiosity. I'm Kate Parker. I like physics because it explains how the universe works. Although here it's a bit slow compared to where I'm from. Her voice was gentle, but Sam could hear the way she unintentionally revealed the truth in every word. Jake laughed loudly, clearly thinking it was a joke. Slow? You talk like you're from the future. Cute. Are you going to the basketball game this afternoon? I'm playing point. It's worth watching. He winked at her, and Sam grimaced, feeling like he'd just been pushed out of the conversation. Kate nodded without hesitation. Basketball? It's the game with the sphere and the net, right? I want to observe. Thank you for the invitation, Jake. She smiled, a carefree smile without any ulterior motive. But for Jake, it was clearly a signal to show off more. Great. See you at the court at 3. Jake stood up as Professor Harper entered, clapping Sam on the shoulder forcefully. Bring your girlfriend, nerd. Don't let her get bored. She's not my girlfriend. Sam protested, but Jake was already gone, leaving him blushing and Kate looking at him curiously. What is a girlfriend? She asked, her voice innocent. Sam sighed, knowing this would be a long day. I'll explain later. Now just focus on class. But as soon as he said that, a thought flashed through his mind. If Project Nova was watching, was it safe for Kate to appear in public like this? He glanced out the lecture hall window, and for a moment, he thought he saw a figure in black standing under a tree outside, holding a device that glowed red. But when he looked closer, the figure was gone. After class, Sam decided to drag Kate to the library. We need to learn more about Project Nova, he said, his voice determined. If they're really here, I want to know what we're up against. He led her through the rows of old books, the smell of paper and dust filling the air, until he found a secluded corner with a public computer. Kate sat down beside him, her golden eyes shining brightly as she looked at the screen. Are you good at finding information? She asked, her voice full of excitement. Not really, but I know how to use Google, Sam replied, typing Project Nova into the search bar. Most of the results were garbage, articles about games or absurd conspiracy theories. But then he clicked on an old newspaper article from 1952, archived in the school's database. The headline read, Mysterious blue light in the sky, student disappears without a trace. Sam read aloud, his voice trembling. On October 14, 1952, a senior student at University X disappeared after reporting seeing a blue light emanating from his dorm room. Witnesses said a group of men in black appeared soon after, carrying strange devices and leaving with the light. The police found no clues, and the case was classified as unexplained. Rumors circulated that a secret organization called Project Nova was behind it, but there was no concrete evidence. Kate gripped Sam's hand, her voice softening. That's them. They've been here since before I arrived. Maybe they found another pod, or someone like me. She looked at him, her golden eyes holding a fear he'd never seen before. Sam, if they know I'm here, they won't stop. Sam swallowed, a chill running down his spine. So what do we do now? He asked, his voice cracking. Kate smiled weakly, her hand still gripping his. We continue. I will learn to live like an earthling, and you will help me. But we have to be careful. They could be anywhere. The school's basketball court was packed when Sam and Kate arrived that afternoon. The sound of whistles, the squeak of rubber shoes on the wooden floor, and the roar of the crowd created a bustling atmosphere that Sam usually avoided. But now he was crowding into the stands, Kate sitting close beside him, her golden eyes darting around like a child at an amusement park for the first time. Jake Miller was already on the court, tall and prominent in his team uniform, his blonde hair peeking out under the lights of the court. He was dribbling, his muscles bulging every time he moved, and the crowd yelled when he performed a perfect slam dunk. Sam had to admit, albeit reluctantly, that Jake looked very impressive. He moves so fast, Kate observed, her voice full of excitement. His body is optimized for speed and strength. I could improve the ball so that... No, Sam interrupted, grabbing her hand and pulling it down when she tried to raise it towards the court. No improvements. Just watch. Remember? Kate nodded, but her eyes remained fixed on the game. And then, as if sensing their presence, Jake looked up from the court, caught Kate's eye and winked. She smiled back, a carefree smile, but for Jake, it was clearly a signal to show off more. He dribbled past two opposing defenders, jumped up and threw a perfect three-pointer, the ball spinning in the air before dropping neatly into the basket. The crowd roared, and Jake turned around, pointing at Kate as if to say, "That's for you." Sam grimaced, muttering, "Excessive showing off." But before he could say more, a soft beep sounded from Kate's wrist. She jumped, looking down at her wrist where a faint blue light pulsed, something Sam had never seen before. "What's that?" he asked, his voice tense. Kate frowned, touching the circle of light. "My energy sensor. It detected a small anomaly with the basketball. I accidentally triggered an enhancement while observing." She smiled sheepishly, rubbing her hand like a child who'd just done something naughty. Sam turned to the court, and just as he feared, the ball Jake had just thrown was now glowing a faint, hazy blue light, hovering in the air before falling into the hands of another player. The crowd was silent for a moment, then whispers began to spread. What was that? Did it look like a light effect? Jake picked up the ball, frowning at it, then threw it towards the basket. The ball flew in a perfect arc, emitting a soft whir, and the hoop lit up when the ball touched it, as if it had been illuminated with LEDs. The crowd yelled excitedly, thinking it was part of the show, but Sam knew better. He turned to Kate, his face pale. "What did you do?" Kate smiled sheepishly, rubbing her hands. "Just a small improvement. Now it self-adjusts its trajectory to be more accurate. I thought he'd like it." Sam buried his face in his hands. "Like it? Jake will think it's magic, and if Project Nova sees..." He stopped, glancing around the stands. In a far corner, he saw a figure in black, holding a device that glowed red, staring straight at them. Before he could react, the figure disappeared into the crowd. Jake ran up to the stands, sweat glistening on his forehead, a bright smile on his face. "Kate, did you see that? That shot was for you," he said, his breath ragged. "But what was that glow? It looked cool." Kate nodded enthusiastically. "I upgraded it a bit. Now it will always fly in the right direction. Do you like it?" Jake laughed loudly, clapping Sam on the shoulder so hard he almost fell. "Upgraded? You're really funny. But if you can do that, I want you to upgrade the whole team." He winked at Kate, then ran back onto the court, leaving Sam with a growing sense of unease. When the game ended, Sam pulled Kate away from the court, his voice tense. "We have to go back to the room. If Project Nova saw that ball, they'll know you're here." He glanced around, feeling invisible eyes still watching them from the shadows. Kate took his hand, her golden eyes gentle but determined. "Don't worry, Sam. I'll protect you, like you protect me." But as they stepped outside, a shiny black car was parked in the corner of the court. No lights, no license plate, making Sam realize that his life had officially entered a dangerous game, and he wasn't sure he was ready. Sam Walker hurried Kate through the dorm hallway, his pace quicker than usual, the flickering fluorescent lights overhead illuminating his face, a mixture of anxiety and determination. After the glowing basketball incident at Jake's game, he couldn't get the image of the shiny black car parked in the corner of the court out of his head. No lights, no license plate, and the way it silently sat there, like a predator stalking its prey, sent a chill down his spine. Kate walked close beside him, her golden eyes sparkling under the light, but this time there was no longer that innocent curiosity. She was silent, her hand tightly gripping his, and Sam could feel the tension in each of her small fingers. "We need to talk," Sam said, his voice low but firm as they entered his room. He closed the door, double-checking the lock, then pulled the window curtains tightly shut, even though he knew it wouldn't help if Project Nova was really watching. He turned to Kate, finding her standing by the Nexus pod, her hand lightly touching its shimmering metallic surface. "What do you know about them? Project Nova. If they're here, I need to know everything." Kate looked at him, her golden eyes softening, but there was something distant about them, as if she were looking through him to see a memory she didn't want to remember. "I didn't tell you everything," she said, her voice softening. I didn't just come here to learn, Sam. I came here to hide. To hide from them. She sat down on the floor, cross-legged, and the pod emitted a soft whir, as if responding to her mood. They've been hunting my people for a long time. Sam frowned, sitting down opposite her, feeling his heart beat faster. Hunting? What do you mean? I thought you said they wanted the pod to make weapons. He looked at her, trying to find logic in this chaotic mess of information. But her golden eyes were now clouded by a sadness he'd never seen before. Kate took a deep breath, then began to speak, her voice melodious but trembling. My planet, it's gone. My people were once energy beings, living in cities floating above glowing oceans, under the light of 3 suns. We didn't have physical bodies like you, just light and consciousness. But we evolved too far, losing the ability to feel love, pain, joy. The Nexus pod was created to send people like me to other planets, seeking creatures with emotions to learn from, to bring back what we had lost. She paused, her hands clenched into small fists. But before I was sent, Project Nova found us. Sam furrowed his brow, trying to picture what she was saying. Found? You mean they came to your planet? Kate nodded, her golden eyes looking down at the floor. Not exactly my planet. A small research station, where I and a few others were preparing for the mission. They appeared in black ships, carrying microwave energy scanning devices, the only thing that could detect us in our energy state. They didn't say anything, no negotiation. They just took us. She looked up, her eyes meeting Sam's, and he saw a deep fear in them. I saw them shoot electric beams at my people, turning them into streams of light that were sucked into machines. I don't know what they did with those they captured, but I heard the screams. Even in an energy state, we can still feel pain when we are destroyed. Sam felt his throat go dry. So how did you escape? He asked, his voice cracking. Kate smiled weakly, touching the pod. The Nexus pod. It's not just a means of transportation, it's also a shield. When they attacked, I activated it, letting it take me as far away as possible. I didn't know where it would take me, I just knew I had to survive. When I woke up, I was here under your floor, in stasis for 73 years. She paused, her golden eyes shining a little brighter as she looked at him. And then you found me. Sam was silent, his mind reeling. He didn't know what to say. Kate's story was beyond anything he'd ever imagined, even in the science fiction books he loved. So, they destroyed your people? Just to get the technology? Kate shook her head. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted the pod, or maybe they wanted to turn us into weapons. But I know one thing, they don't stop. If they detected the blue light the day I woke up, or the basketball today. She paused, her hand gripping Sam's tightly. I'm sorry, Sam. I didn't want to drag you into this. Sam laughed, a dry, hollow laugh to hide his fear. Drag me in? You stepped out of my floor, made a basketball glow in front of the whole school, and now you're saying sorry. He shook his head, but when he looked into her eyes, he couldn't be angry. I don't know what I'm doing, Kate, but if they're really here, we need a plan. Before Kate could respond, a knock on the door sounded, not Lily's gentle kind, but strong, insistent, like someone who had no patience. Sam jumped, standing up and signaling Kate to be quiet. Who is it? He called, his voice slightly shaky. Sam, open up. It's me. Lily's voice came, but this time there was something urgent about it, unlike her usual cheerfulness. Sam opened the door, and Lily almost burst in, holding her phone, her eyes wide behind her round glasses. You have to see this, she said, pushing the phone screen into his hand. It was a short video posted on the school's social media, a scene of the glowing basketball from the game earlier that day, with the caption, Does Jake Miller have magic or something? Who did this? The video already had hundreds of views, and the comments below were filled with curious questions. Sam felt his heart sink. Damn it, he mumbled, turning to Kate. See? I told you not to do anything weird. Kate lowered her head, her voice softening. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to observe. Observe by making the whole school see? Sam interrupted, but before he could say more, Lily raised her hand to stop him. "Wait, that's not all," she said, her voice tense. "I just saw some guys in black suits outside the dorm. This time it wasn't just one person. There were at least 3 of them, carrying those red scanning devices like yesterday. I swear they were walking towards this building." Sam turned to Kate, his eyes wide with panic. "They're here. Project Nova." He glanced at the Nexus pod, then back at Lily. "Are you sure? What did they look like?" Lily nodded, her high ponytail bouncing with her urgent movements. "Certain. Black suits, sunglasses, red scanners. One guy even looked straight up at your window when I ran in here." "Sam, what's going on? Who is Kate really?" Sam swallowed, knowing he couldn't hide it any longer. "I'll explain later, but now we have to—" He stopped when a low whir sounded from outside the window, steady and chilling, like the engine of something that didn't belong in this world. He ran to the window, pulling the curtain aside just enough to look out. Through the dusty glass, he saw 3 shiny black cars parked outside the dorm. No lights, no license plates. From each car, several men in black suits stepped out, wearing sunglasses even though it was dark, holding metallic devices that glowed faintly. One of them, tall, with short gray hair, raised a scanner, and the red beam from the device shot straight at the building, sweeping across the windows and stopping right on Sam's room. "Damn it," Sam mumbled, backing away from the window. "They know we're here." He turned to Kate, seeing her stand up, her hand gripping her wrist where the faint blue light still pulsed. "Can you do anything? Use the pod or something?" Kate nodded, but her eyes were full of worry. "I can activate the pod's shield, but it needs time to recharge after I woke up. We only have a few minutes before it runs out of energy." She went to the pod, placed her hand on the surface, and the blue light flared, surrounding the room with a thin, shimmering shield like glass. Lily stared, her jaw dropping. "What is that?" "Sam, who is she? What are you hiding from me?" Her voice was higher than usual, but before Sam could answer, the door to the room burst open with a loud bang, and 5 men in black suits stepped in, led by the gray-haired man Sam had seen outside. He was tall and thin, his face as cold as stone, holding the scanner that was now beeping continuously. "Extraterrestrial life form identified," he said, his voice deep and emotionless. "All students, evacuate the area immediately. This is a security matter." He wore a name tag on his chest, Agent Kessler, and his cold, sharp eyes locked onto Kate, as if she were the prey he had been hunting for a long time. Sam stood in front of Kate, his heart pounding, but he didn't back down. "She hasn't harmed anyone," he yelled, his voice shaky but firm. "You can't take her." Kessler frowned, his cold gaze looking at Sam as if he were just a pathetic insect. "You don't understand, kid. This thing doesn't belong on Earth. It's dangerous. Step aside, or we will be forced to use force." He gestured, and the agents behind him pulled out strange guns, not firing bullets, but emitting electric blue beams, just like the ones Kate had described in her story. Lily stepped in, standing beside Sam, her hand gripping her phone like a weapon. "Dangerous?" She just made a ball glow. "Who are you guys to barge in here and try to take people?" Her voice shook, but her loyalty to Sam kept her from backing down. Kate grasped Sam's hand from behind, her voice small but firm. "Sam, I don't want them to take me. I've lost everything once. I don't want to lose you." Her words were like a punch to Sam's heart. He didn't know when he had started to care about her. Maybe from the moment she stepped out of the pod, or when she awkwardly tried to fit in, or when she told him about her tragic past. But he knew one thing. He couldn't let them take her. "Okay," Sam said, taking a deep breath. "We won't let them take her. Lily, can you help me distract them?" He turned to Kate. "Use the pod to do something. Anything to get us out of here." Lily nodded, though her eyes were still wide with panic. "Distract? What should I do?" "Throw sandwiches at them." But she didn't wait for Sam to answer, rushing to the desk and grabbing the bag of food, throwing a sandwich straight at Kessler's face. It hit him right on the nose, leaving a streak of tomato sauce on his cold face, and for a moment he paused, clearly taken by surprise. Kate seized the opportunity, placing her hand on the pod and activating it. A giant hologram appeared in the middle of the room, displaying images of her planet, the floating cities, the glowing oceans, and the 3 brilliant suns. "This is my home," she said, her voice echoing through the screen. "I am not a threat. I came here to live, to feel, and Sam Walker is my companion. You have no right to take me." Kessler wiped the tomato sauce off his face, his cold gaze unwavering. "Your home no longer exists," he said, his voice sharp as a knife. "We destroyed it, and we will take the pod from you, whether he protects you or not." He raised his gun, but before he could shoot, Sam lunged, shoving Kessler forcefully away from Kate. "Run!" Sam yelled, pulling Kate towards the door. Lily threw another soda bottle at the agents, startling them, and in the moment of chaos, the 3 of them burst out into the hallway. The pod's shield began to fade, the blue light weakening, and Sam knew they only had a few seconds before it disappeared completely. They ran through the hallway, the heavy footsteps of the agents echoing behind them. Sam led Kate and Lily down the stairs, his heart pounding in his chest. When they reached the dorm courtyard, Jake Miller appeared from the shadows, sweat still glistening on his forehead after the game. "Yo, what's going on?" he asked, frowning when he saw the agents chasing them. "No time to explain," Sam yelled. "Help us." Jake looked at the agents, then at Kate, and a bright smile spread across his face. "All right, I've always wanted to punch some guys who look like they're from a movie." He charged forward, using the strength of a basketball player to knock 2 agents to the ground, creating space for Sam, Kate, and Lily to escape. They dashed into the darkness of the campus, the shouts of the crowd at the dorm party echoing from afar. Sam gripped Kate's hand tightly, the feeling of her strange warmth being the only thing keeping him grounded. "Where do we go now?" he asked, his voice cracking. Kate turned to him, her golden eyes shining brightly in the darkness. "Anywhere, as long as I'm with you. We are a team, Sam." But as they ran further, a red beam of light swept through the darkness. Sam Walker ran through the darkness of the campus, his hand tightly gripping Kate's, his ragged breaths mingling with the hurried footsteps of Lily and Jake behind them. The cheers from the dorm party had faded, but the feeling of being hunted, like a beast stalking in the shadows, still clung to him. Jake Miller, tall and full of energy, ran last, his shoulders slightly hunched after the collision with the 2 agents earlier. He was panting, but a bright smile still bloomed on his face, as if he had just scored a 3-pointer instead of tackling a couple of guys in black suits. "Yo, who are those guys?" Jake asked, his voice tinged with excitement as they stopped under the shadow of a large oak tree near the old lecture hall area. "They look like agents from a movie, and I just punched 2 of them. Cool, right?" Sam turned around, his hand still holding Kate's, his eyes filled with worry. "Cool, yeah, but now's not the time to show off." He glanced around, darkness shrouding the campus, broken only by a few dim streetlights. "They're Project Nova, a secret organization that hunts extraterrestrial technology. They want to capture her." He jerked his head towards Kate, who stood close beside him, her golden eyes shimmering in the darkness, containing a fear he couldn't ignore. Jake frowned, looking at Kate as if realizing for the first time that she wasn't a normal person. "Extraterrestrial? What do you mean? She made the ball glow because of that." He pointed towards the dorm, where the blue light from the Nexus pod had now completely disappeared. Lily interjected, hands on her hips, panting. "That's right, Jake. Kate's not from Earth. She's from some distant planet," and Sam activated her freaky machine under the floor. "I just found out too, but now I believe it, especially after seeing those guys barge in." She turned to Sam, her sharp gaze behind her round glasses. "What are you going to do now? Running forever isn't a solution." Sam swallowed, feeling the pressure weighing down on his shoulders. He wasn't the leadership type. He preferred sitting in a corner with a book rather than facing mysterious agents or planning an escape. But when he looked into Kate's eyes, those golden eyes containing both fear and trust, he knew he couldn't give up. I don't know, he admitted, his voice softening. But we need time to figure something out. Her pod is out of energy, so we can't rely on it right now. Kate nodded, her hand touching her wrist where the faint blue light had now faded. Sam's right. The pod needs at least 12 hours to recharge after using the shield. But I can do something else, or a false signal. She looked at him, her golden eyes lighting up with an idea. If I create a microwave energy pulse that simulates the pod activating and leaving Earth, they'll think I'm gone. We can trick them. Sam blinked, his mind racing. A false signal? You mean make them think you've escaped from here? He paused, then nodded slowly. Okay, but we need a place to do it. The dorm isn't safe anymore, and if they have scanners, they'll find us soon. He thought, then his eyes lit up. The science fair is happening tomorrow in the main hall. There will be lots of people, machines, and equipment enough to interfere with her real signal. We can hide there, create a scene that makes it look like she's left. Jake frowned. The science fair? Those nerd fests? I'm not going. Unless you want to prove you're more than just a jock. Kate interrupted, her voice gentle but firm. She looked at Jake, her golden eyes sparkling with curiosity. I heard you tell your teammates that you want to be a coach to help others develop. This fair could be an opportunity for you to do something bigger, like helping me deceive them. Jake blinked, clearly surprised by Kate's perceptiveness. You heard that? Yeah, I do want that. But I'm not good at science stuff. He paused. Then a bright smile spread across his face. But if you need me, I'll do it. I can cause a distraction, so you can do that false signal thing. Lily nodded, pushing her glasses up her nose. I'm in too. If Jake makes a scene, I'll interfere with the machines at the fair. We need to coordinate for this plan to work. She turned to Sam. What about you, Captain? Sam took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility but also a surge of determination. I'll stay with Kate, help her activate the signal. If we do it right, Project Nova will think she's left Earth and leave us alone. At least for a while. He looked at Kate, his gaze softening. What do you think? Kate smiled, her hand tightly gripping Sam's. I trust you, Sam. We are a team. Her words were like a strange warmth running through him. And no matter how crazy this situation was, he felt he was no longer alone. The next morning, the school's main hall had been transformed into a maze of machines, display boards, and the murmur of hundreds of students. The annual science fair was in full swing, with the smell of machine oil and the sound of small engines filling the air. Sam, Kate, Lily, and Jake squeezed through the crowd, trying to blend into the chaotic atmosphere to avoid attention. They had brought the Nexus pod. Sam had stuffed it into an old backpack, hoping no one would notice the shimmering metallic object inside. Kate was wearing Sam's oversized hoodie, her shimmering brown hair hidden under a baseball cap Jake had given her. But her golden eyes were still a problem. Keep your head down, Sam whispered as they walked past a group of students testing a small robot. Don't let anyone look too closely. Kate nodded, but her eyes couldn't stay away from the booths. Your technology is fascinating, she said, her voice full of excitement. Though rudimentary, it's very creative. She stopped when she saw Sam shaking his head vigorously, and she smiled sheepishly. Okay, I won't improve anything. Lily led the way, holding a map of the fair she'd taken from the registration desk. I found a secluded corner near the physics booth. There are some large generators there. They can interfere with my real signal while you're making the false signal. Follow me. She walked quickly, petite but determined, and Sam couldn't help but be grateful for her calmness in the midst of this chaos. Jake walked last, carrying the regular basketball he brought to stay in shape. I'll cause a distraction when you need it, he said, laughing loudly. I'm not just a jock. I'll make them so confused so you can do that signal thing. They reached the physics booth, where a group of students were demonstrating a small magnetic field generator, with small sparks of electricity arcing through the air. Sam placed the backpack containing the pod behind a large display board, signaling Kate to sit beside it. Lily and Jake stood in front, ready to act. Okay, Sam whispered, opening the backpack and looking at the pod. How long do you need to create the false signal? Kate placed her hand on the pod, a faint blue light flickering weakly on the surface. Not long. I'll use the remaining energy to create a strong microwave pulse, simulating the pod activating and leaving Earth's atmosphere. But I need Jake and Lily to interfere with my real signal first, so they don't detect that I'm still here. Sam nodded, turning to the other two. Jake, you cause a distraction. Do something big to get people filming, attract the crowd. Lily, you interfere with the generator so Kate's signal is obscured. When they're confused, Kate will activate the false signal. Jake grinned, holding up the ball. Cause a distraction? I'm an expert. He stepped out of hiding, yelling loudly in the middle of the hall. Hey everyone, watch this. He dribbled through the crowd, jumped up, and threw a three-pointer into a makeshift hoop that a booth had set up to test trajectories. The ball flew through the air, slammed into the hoop, and the crowd yelled excitedly. A few students raised their phones to record, and Jake continued to dribble, pretending to lose control to run around, drawing attention to himself. Lily rushed to the magnetic field generator booth, whispering to Sam. I don't know how this works, but let's try. She yanked a lever, and the generator flared up, emitting larger sparks of electricity, arcing through the air and creating a chaotic interference field. The beeps from devices in the hall rang out erratically, masking the pod's real signal. Kate placed her hand on the pod, concentrating. Now, she whispered, and a brilliant blue light burst from the pod, not only in the hall but also shooting straight up to the ceiling, piercing through the roof like a dazzling beam of light. She controlled the microwave energy pulse, simulating the signal of a pod activating and leaving Earth, heading towards the sky. The crowd yelled in amazement, thinking it was part of the fair, and the sound of phone cameras clicking echoed everywhere. But then, a sharp beep sounded from the entrance of the hall. Sam jumped up, his heart sinking as he saw Agent Kessler enter, leading 4 other agents, all dressed in shiny black suits, holding red scanners that were beeping continuously. Kessler stopped in the middle of the crowd, his cold gaze sweeping across, and the scanner in his hand emitted a louder beep when it detected the energy pulse from the pod. They're here, Sam whispered, his hand gripping Kate's. Are you done? Kate nodded, her voice tense. Done. The false signal has been sent. They'll think I've left Earth, but we need to keep them here a little longer to make them believe it. Kessler moved closer to the physics booth, his eyes locked on the blue beam of light that had just disappeared through the ceiling. The extraterrestrial life form has activated the device, he said, his voice deep and cold. But the signal is leaving the atmosphere. Have we lost track of her? He turned to an agent, who was checking his scanner with a look of bewilderment. Sir, the microwave signal indicates that the pod has left Earth, the agent replied, his voice shaking. It was heading towards low orbit, then disappeared. Kessler frowned, his sharp gaze looking around the hall. The crowd was now filming him and the agents, whispers spreading. Agents? What are they doing here? What was that beam of light? Students gathered, growing larger, and a few professors stepped forward, demanding an explanation. Sam whispered to Kate. They're suspicious. We need to make them completely believe it. Kate nodded, then stood up, stepping out of hiding before Sam's panicked eyes. Kate, what are you doing? He whispered urgently, but she raised her hand to signal him to be quiet. She stepped closer to Kessler, but not too close, and yelled out in the middle of the crowd. I am Kate. I don't belong here. You can't catch me. Her voice echoed, and just as Kessler turned around, she activated one last effect from the pod. A small explosion of blue light burst around her, then died down, as if she had just disappeared. The crowd screamed, cameras pointed at her. But Kate quickly ducked down and hid behind a booth, where Sam pulled her into hiding. Kessler rushed to where she had just been standing, but only found empty air. His scanner beeped erratically, then went silent. She's gone, he mumbled, his voice full of doubt. Suddenly, a soft beep sounded from the communication device in Kessler's ear. He listened, his cold face freezing. Understood, he said, his voice low. Withdraw. The signal confirms she has left Earth. We can't risk being exposed here. He turned to the agents, signaling retreat. Back to base. Prepare the orbital scanning ship. The agents left quickly, disappearing into the crowd before anyone could take a clear picture of them. Kessler glanced around one last time, his gaze sharp as a knife, but the presence of hundreds of students with phones and questions made it impossible for him to stay. Project Nova couldn't operate publicly, secrecy was their strength, and the fair had destroyed that. Sam, Kate, Lily, and Jake breathed a sigh of relief when the agents disappeared. Jake slapped his thigh, laughing loudly. I just made the whole school go crazy, and you made them think you flew into space. This team is awesome. Lily pushed up her glasses, still panting. Awesome, yes, but I swear I don't want to do that again. My heart almost jumped out when I saw you step out. Kate. Sam turned to Kate, his hand still holding hers. Are you okay? He asked, his voice softer than he expected. Kate smiled, her golden eyes shining brightly in the dim light. I'm fine thanks to you, but I can't keep this form anymore. They think I'm gone, so I need to change. She placed her hand on the pod, and before Sam's eyes, her pale white skin began to change, becoming a light brown. Her shimmering brown hair turning short and black, her golden eyes fading to a dark brown, looking like a normal student. Is this okay? She asked, her voice still melodious but now with a touch of playfulness. Sam blinked, his mouth dry. Yeah. You look so different. He blushed, not knowing what to say. Back in the dorm room, Sam Walker sat on the old bed, the fluorescent light flickering weakly overhead. But this time, the room no longer felt cold or run down. The backpack containing the Nexus pod lay quietly in the corner, now just a strange decoration that no one but the group knew the true meaning of. Kate, now in her new form with light brown skin, short black hair, and dark brown eyes, sat beside him, holding a sandwich that Lily had brought. After the science fair, the group had decided to have a small party in Sam's room to celebrate the temporary victory over Project Nova. Lily Chun sprawled on the floor, her feet propped up on a chair, fiddling with her phone. I just rewatched the videos online, she said, laughing loudly. Jake threw the ball, I broke the machine, and Kate did that beam of light. The whole school still thinks it was the highlight of the fair. No one suspects a thing. She pushed her glasses up her nose, her eyes sparkling with pride. Jake Miller leaned against the wall, spinning his basketball, a bright smile as usual. I told you, this team is awesome. Hey, Kate, will you learn to play basketball with me? I'll turn you into a star. Let me be your first coach. He winked, and Kate laughed, taking a bite of her sandwich. I like that idea, Jake, she said, her voice still melodious though now sounding closer. I want to learn everything here. Basketball, physics, even how to eat a sandwich without making it glow. She glanced at Sam, her dark brown eyes sparkling mischievously, and he blushed, pushing his glasses up his nose. Don't mention the glowing anymore, Sam mumbled, but the corners of his mouth twitched into a smile. Hey, are you okay? With the new form and everything? Kate tilted her head, leaning her shoulder against his. I'm fine, Sam. This is my new home, not just Earth, but where you, Lily, and Jake are. I'm not running anymore. I'll live like you taught me. Her words made Sam's heart beat faster, and this time, he didn't try to hide his feelings. Lily sat up, clapping her hands. Great. So we're officially a team. The team to protect Kate and fight those guys in black. But next time, I want a less dangerous plan. Okay? Jake laughed loudly. Danger is fun. But I agree. Next time let me do more punching. He raised his fist, and the whole group burst into laughter, the sound echoing in the small room. Sam looked around Lily with her practical intelligence, Jake with his unceasing enthusiasm, and Kate, the alien girl who had changed his life. He took a deep breath, then stood up, raising his hand to signal silence. All right, listen up. Project Nova might come back, but now we're ready. Kate stays here with us, and we'll protect her. This is our intergalactic station. Kate laughed, standing up and activating the pod one last time for the day. A gentle blue light surrounded the room, turning it into a warm space like a corner of the universe. I agree, she said, holding Sam's hand. This is home. Outside the window, a peaceful darkness covered the campus. No more red beams flickering. Project Nova might be lurking somewhere, but for now, Sam knew they had won not just a battle, but a new beginning.